Hi all, Maeve Adams here. Most of you know me. For those of you who do not, I am Associate Professor of English here at Manhattan College, going on 11 years. For the last 4 years, I have served as Director of the Digital Arts and Humanities program. And in that capacity, I have, as part of my job, worked to help faculty learn how to integrate digital tools and data analytic methods into courses across the curriculum, helping to improve learning outcomes, improve career readiness for our students in this digital age, and also to make our jobs as teachers more rewarding and enjoyable. The tool that I'm going to teach you how to use today is Perusall. Perusall is a very cool tool. It is an online social annotation platform powered by AI. It allows students to complete homework online, collaboratively annotating a bunch of different kinds of sources: text, images, videos, audio content like podcasts, websites, almost anything you can imagine assigning for homework, Perusall can handle. It also, in using artificial intelligence, it's using its algorithm, it produces initial assessments of the quality of student annotations. Now, you are still in the driver's seat as the grader. You can modify any assessment that Perusall has offered, but it starts that process for you. And in doing that, it lightens your grading load while also incentivizing homework completion by giving students credit for doing their homework. It also keeps track of, obviously, maybe the fact that students have done or not done their homework. So you're never going to get up in front of class on any given day and be like, this question that I've asked students and they're all staring at me blankly, is that because they didn't do the assignment or because the question I've asked, I need to modify it, right? You'll know if they did the assignment before you get to class. And you'll know how they engaged with the assignment. Did they understand it? What things were confusing to them? So I want to go through three different topics today in this little mini workshop. I want to show you student experience to give you a sense of how Perusall works for students and why then it might be a useful tool in your course. Assuming that you are then persuaded that Perusall is a great idea for you to use in any given course, I want to cover the mechanics, like how do you set up a Perusall site? How do you create an effective Perusall assignment? I am going to move very quickly through these because I don't have very much time. But if you want to know more, or you have questions, or you want to review anything we covered, email me at maeve.adams@manhattan.edu, or you can rewatch this video at my In the Tweeds channel on YouTube. Okay. So what does a Perusall assignment look like for a student? What does it mean? What would it look like for a student to encounter a Perusall assignment and complete it? This is an assignment that I used in my English 110 Introduction to College Writing. The topic of the assignment was climate change and global migration. This was a very short reading from PBS NewsHour. And as you can see, students scroll through the assignment to complete the reading. And as they do, they can highlight text. Okay, and when they do highlight that text, they add annotations over here in the right-hand margin. And you can see that students aren't just adding their own annotations individually, they're adding annotations that other students in the class can see and engage with, having a conversation about their responses to the text. You as a professor, this is me, MA. You as a professor can respond to that conversation, take it further, ask further questions to help them think more deeply about the topic. The cool thing about Perusall, the way it uses its algorithm, is, as I said, it does an initial assessment of student annotations, the quality of those annotations. So you can see here, Perusall has given this annotation an initial assessment of high. So it's either low, medium, or high. Yeah. Now you as a professor might go back in and say, I'm not sure that was of high quality, that maybe it's more of a medium quality. And then you can modify it. You can see this when it's green, it indicates that I have modified the assessment. As you can see too, we've got indicators for who these students are, but it's semi-anonymized, and in case this is of concern, Perusall is completely private. So only the people who are members of the course can access Perusall and see the annotations. And you are in charge of that roster. So how do you do it? How do you add an annotation? All students have to do, let's do it with the with this text select, you just select some text, and then you can type this in this little dialog box that just opened up. Annotation, that's mine, and I hit enter, and the annotation appears, and then immediately underneath opens a dialog box where somebody else can engage with that annotation or with the text that's been selected and highlighted. And commented on. And you'll see here the quality is pending. Students are able to see, get feedback initially from Perusall. They don't get to see what the assessment in terms of low, medium, high is until after you've confirmed that the assessments are accurate. But Perusall will also give students tips as they go for improving annotations. Which is also a kind of cool feature. Universally, honestly, students love Perusall. I think they really appreciate the live feedback that they're getting, both from the algorithm, but also from their peers, because as you can see, right, they're engaging with their peers not only in a conversation about the text, but as we know from research about the way students learn best in some ways from one another, modeling better work and thereby growing as a writer or a reader or a thinker. So, and this is one of the things like that I regularly see in course evaluations is that students feel like they learned a lot from one another while learning how to respond to assignments in conversation with one another. Let's say that you are using an image, not a text. Not something that has words in it. You just use this other little button up here, annotate figure, and you just click on it, and you can see I've opened up a few of these other ones. It drops a pin in the text, and you can then annotate your text that way, and does exactly the same as the other annotation of text. Perusall is great because if you're using some other kind of media that you've never used before in that course, Perusall will then also teach the student how to produce the annotation. So then when they open the assignment, it gives them instructions about how to produce annotations. If they've done text before, it doesn't constantly reteach you how to create annotations. But if you haven't used a certain kind of media like a podcast, then it will give the student some instruction about what to do. So it's really helpful in terms of kind of supporting you as a teacher, but supporting them as students as they work to complete their assignments and work to improve as writers and thinkers. Okay, so now you know what an assignment looks like for students. Let's go over the mechanics of what you do if you want to create a Perusall course and you want to create an effective Perusall assignment. As I said, I'm going to move super fast through this stuff, so don't hesitate to contact me if you have questions or review the video. So once you've created a Perusall account, if you want to do that, you just go to perusall.com and then you click login, and then it'll give you the option of creating an account. But because I have one, it automates the login process. So I'll click login. If you've never created a course before, you'll just see these boxes up at the top. These are all my courses. And I will say this, that once I started using Perusall, I never looked back. It was so effective in terms of helping me with my assessment work, but also even more importantly, improving student outcomes that, I realized that I would be much happier continuing to teach with Perusall, for all the sort of wonderful things that it gives us. So let's say that you want to create a course. You hit create course. Kim can go over how you integrate this with Moodle because I learned how to use Perusall before we had the Moodle integration. I'm going to show you how to access it directly at perusall.com. So it can actually live and is hosted by perusall.com for free. Okay, so course name, we're going to say sample course. We're going to just call it a sample. We are going to tell Perusall we are at Manhattan College, and we're just going to put an August start date for efficiency. Okay, one thing that's great is no matter how many times you've set up a Perusall course, it will always walk you through the basics. And you can always they have a kind of like tutorial that you can follow that makes this very easy. I am going to move rather swiftly through this. I am going to simply continue because of the thing I need to show you is In order to set up assignments, you have to add material to your Perusall site. Those are your homework, the materials for the course. So we're going to hit continue. And because I'm presuming you've never done this before, we're going to start with an empty course. You have several options for how to build your Perusall site. I'm going to say I'm going to upload my own course materials because that's the way to do this so that the course materials for students are free. So I'm just going to click on that, and then I'm going to hit continue. And then it wants me to tell it what department I'm in. We're going to say that we are in English. We're going to leave the rest of this the way it is for efficiency's sake. One thing to note, your enrollment estimate number should be the same, at least for starting out, as your target group size. If you make this target group size smaller than the number that is the enrollment estimate, it will automatically break students into reading groups. If you have questions about that, you can get in touch with me and I can explain how you might use that particular feature. Okay, continuing. All right, next step is you need to add things to a library. So we're going to do that next. Perusall allows you to add all kinds of things, as I mentioned before. It allows you to drag and drop material, or you can kind of more manually move through steps. I'm going to, for efficiency's sake, pull up a PDF here and dump that in. If you just give me a moment. Okay, so I've got a PDF ready to go, and what I'm going to do, here it is. This is the text of Dobbs v. Jackson. And I am going to take this PDF and I'm going to drag and drop it into Perusall. Now, because Perusall takes some time to process the file, I've already added another text here that we can work with so that you can see how to make an assignment. But basically, this is how it works. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower. But Perusall will process the text. You don't have to stay online while it's doing that. As long as you've dumped it in there, you could actually lose internet connection and Perusall would continue working to process that file. Okay, so let's say these are the only two texts in our course. Unrealistic, but for the sake of efficiency. If you want to just look at the file and make sure that it looks normal, you can always click on it, but we're currently in the library. If we want to add an assignment, we have to go to assignments. So we're going to click on assignments. We're going to click on add assignment, and this dialog box opens up for us. We need to choose the content. The only thing that's currently available is The Birds by Daphne du Maurier, the text that is adapted as Hitchcock's The Birds. We select that. It allows us to select a certain number of pages or do the whole thing. We're going to assign all content. And then we do next step. Okay, here we indicate what the deadline is. Let's just say that it is October 26th, 2023. That's within the dates of the course. We're going to call this Birds. And then here's where we're going to give some instructions to students. Now, if you want to give, what I like to do is I like to do three things at the same time. I like to give students a summary of the text, and then I give them some reading questions, and then I articulate my expectations. So I'm going to take you over now to an example of that, and then we'll come back here so I can show you the rest of setting up an assignment. Okay, we're now back over in my Perusall for English 110, the Intro to College Writing. So this is the assignment that we were looking at before, that climate change and migration assignment that we were looking at the annotations for. So basically you can see there's a brief summary of the reading. I give them some questions to consider while they read and annotate to give them some guidance. And then I articulate the exact expectations. I always ask students to produce a set of their own annotations. I also remind them that where I want them to do most of their work, I often remind them to please distribute their annotations across the assignment so they're not all on page one. And then I also ask them to respond to annotations by colleagues. So there are three parts of the assignment that encourage them to make the most of the fact that this is a social annotation tool, right? Okay, so you can see here, this is what students will see. And when they open the assignment, there's the text again, but they also get the instructions over here, the summary, the questions, the expectations. Okay, we're going to pop back over to the assignment creation. Okay, so we're back over in our assignment creation dialog box. Here's where you would add in this instructions for students. This is where you add the summary, the questions, the expectations. I'm not going to add all that here to save a little time. You want to indicate when the assignment is visible. It doesn't really matter as long as it's before the date it's due. And then there's a bunch of other stuff here that is not important. And then you're going to click next step. I always specify custom scoring for this assignment. So it automates assignment score range from 0 to 3. The rest of this is not important. The only important thing is down here. Perusall gives students credit automatically for doing things like getting responses. Now, I don't prefer that because I don't want students to feel like if they don't get responses to their annotations, that that's going to harm their grade. Sometimes students who are doing the best annotation work don't get responses because their work is at a sufficiently high level that some of the other students are having a hard time engaging with it. So I just modify these. I get rid of upvoting. Also, that's when people are like, "Ooh, this is an awesome annotation." I take out quizzes because I don't use them. I then leave in, oops, we're going to take this out. Comment content, that's where Perusall is assessing the quality of the annotation. I do give them credit for reading to the end and active engagement time. And I always make sure that this gets up to 100%. And then I need to indicate under options that the minimum number of annotations. And remember, you saw over here that I tell them they need to supply 5 to 6 annotations for this assignment. So let's say that I did the same thing for this assignment. I need to indicate that Perusall is going to grade at least 5 annotations. And then it has a number of other helpful features here, like if the comments are not distributed fairly evenly, it'll deduct points. You can also modify whether or not students will get credit if they put their annotations in after the deadline. You can give them a late comment period, so they'll get partial credit if they complete the assignment within 1 day of the deadline. And then that's it. That creates the assignment. You can see, the difference between these two is that we've got all the instructions over here. We didn't produce those over here because it would have taken up more time. But that's basically how you use Perusall. And then every time a student goes to the Perusall site, they will see their assignments when they log in. And you can see them too. So as I said, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me if you have questions or concerns, or feel free to rewatch the video, obviously. And yeah, I hope it's helpful. Good luck.